Recommendation system has always been a really hot topic for the last few years. Many algorithms are done either through the user's own behavior or through the product's information. Some higher-level algorithms may involve some natural language processing. However, these algorithms cannot solve the problem of lack of information of a new user. All of the algorithms above has to acquire enough information related to the user. But when the new customers first register for an application, you normally don't have enough information to carry out all those algorithms. Even though you might want to prompt the user to choose topics that they are interested in when they register, yet they often don't really give enough information as a result of privacy protection or just mere laziness. Still, we have other ways to solve the problem. First, I want to raise a question. If you don't tell a social media your real name, are you able to hide your name from it? The answer is no. When I was a 5th grader, I found that by typing my brother's name down in the search box of a chatting app in China, I could easily find him even though his nickname has nothing to do with his real name. That was because other people remarked him by his real name, so even though I myself didn't remark him, I could still find his real name. This was definitely a threat to one's privacy. Nowadays, it is more than one's name, but other traits as well, including one's gender, college, major, occupation, etc., which could be easily inferred according to your online social networks. There is an expression that says, birds of a feather flock together, which implies a lot about our social networks. Similarity breeds connection. This principle, the homophily principle, structures network ties of every type, including marriage, friendship, work, advice, support, information transfer, exchange, co-membership, and other types of relationship. The result is that people's personal networks are homogeneous with regard to many social demographic, behavioral, and intrapersonal characteristics. Induction, on the other hand, the term describes that people tend to acquire certain behaviors and attitudes from their social networks. So homophily makes us get connected to our friends, and induction tend to influence our own behaviors and opinions on certain issues. This social phenomenon could also be utilized in inferring someone's attributes based on their online networks. With limited information reviewed by the users, computer scientists are still able to get much more information hidden in their online networks and behaviors. A research done in 2010 has shown that with as little as 20% of the user providing attributes, they could infer the attributes for the remaining users with over 80% accuracy. The researcher collected the dataset by crawling part of the Facebook through the site's public web interface. They crawled the Rice University Facebook network, which consists of Rice University students and alumni. They started by logging into the Facebook user accounts of one of the authors, who was a student at Rice University at the time the research was done. Then they conducted a breadth-first search of all reachable users in the Rice network. By default, Facebook allows all users in the same network to view each other's friends, and then they were thus able to crawl a large portion of the Rice Facebook network. Their first observation is that users are statistically much more likely to be friends with other users who share their attributes when compared to users who have no attributes in common. First of all, for each attribute, say A, such as college, matriculation year, or high school, they calculate the fraction of links for which users share the same value of attribute A by the first equation, where AI represents a value of attribute for A for each user I, and E represents the set of all links. They then divided this by EA, or what would be expected if attributes were placed randomly, where TI are the number of users with each of the possible K attribute values, and U being the sum of value T's with I ranging from 0 to I. The resulting value, affinity, ranges from 0 to infinity, and represents the ratio of the fraction of links between attribute-sharing users relative to what would be expected if attributes were assigned randomly. Thus, an affinity greater than 1 indicates that links are positively correlated with user attributes. From the chart, we could see that students are statistically much more likely to be friends with other users who share the attributes when compared to users who have no attributes in common. Based on this knowledge and the online social links, the research team proposed algorithms that could reveal certain attributes of the user with an accuracy as high as 95%. In addition, in a more recent research in 2017, a group of scientists proposed a convolutional neural network architecture to infer users' all missing attributes based on one trained model. And it's novel that they represent the input matrix using features of the target user and their neighboring nodes, including their explicit attributes and behaviors which are available in online social networks. This new research can be helpful when a new full social network graph is not available or too hard to obtain. These researches demonstrate the importance of social links in attribute inference. So for the next level in this field of study, we should really consider how to protect one's privacy while being able to do the prediction effectively. Is there a way to effectively train a model that could be installed on the user end and run based on the user's local activities and also utilizing the useful information for the social networks without the server and retrieving this information from the user? In other words, we should really look into a technique that could do the calculation locally. The researches mentioned above are more about attribute inferences from a global and industry level. But what does our social networks tell about us individually? How are we gonna apply this knowledge in real life? So I want to remind you guys that summer is coming. So what comes to your mind when you think of summer? Internships and researchers, of course. As summer is coming for not only college students but everyone, it is important to keep fit. So I'm gonna introduce the easiest way of losing weight by applying the knowledge of social networks. Some research has shown that obesity is contagious. A group of scientists investigated that the prevalence of obesity has increased substantially over the past 30 years. This suggests that obesity may spread in social networks in a quantifiable and discernible pattern that depends on the nature of social ties. Moreover, social distances appear to be more important than geographic distance within these networks. Although connected persons may share an exposure to common environmental factors, the experience of a simultaneous events or other common features such as genes that cause them to gain or lose weight simultaneously, their observations suggest that an important role for a process involving the induction and the person-to-person spread of obesity. Even besides all the theories and statistics, it makes sense that being friends with curvier people means less body shaming and stigmatizing. Also, the life habits can be quite influential as well. I mean, who would reject a dessert or a hot pot after a long day of stressful schoolwork? But this may also imply an inverse argument that having slim people as your close friends should also have a positive effect on your body shape because you could be influenced by their healthier habits, like going to gym instead of lying on bed and drinking alcohol. I have looked over the academic papers, and although there has been some data that could weakly support my argument above, it is still not substantial enough to draw conclusions that having friends that are more fit could help you get better body shape. But it is worthwhile to try it out. Here I'm not saying to dump all your chubby friends. Instead, you should persuade them to exercise so that you could have a group of slim friends so that they could push you to lose weight. So I would warn you that a very possible outcome may be losing a friend. But don't worry, I'm gonna give another way to make yourself slimmer. Post pictures of food on Instagram like I do. When everyone around you gains weight, you're relatively thinner.